All right, good evening, racers. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about how to set up a race route for RaceOwl so we can do this whole virtual racing thing. So I'm going to show you how to do that with Google Earth. Start that up here. All right, so here is Google Earth. And what you have to do is set up a combination of two things. You're going to need some what we call waypoints, which is really just a path that you're going to follow. They're going to be closely spaced geolocations. We're going to use that and just kind of draw out the route. I'm going to use kind of the Tuesday evening Creve Coeur race as kind of a guide here. So here you see my Google Earth. I've got Creve Coeur Lake pulled up, and I'm just going to draw out the race path so that we can put that into RaceOwl and use it as a virtual race. So the first thing I need to do is come down here. The race start is somewhere in this area. I don't remember quite where, but I think it's about there. So what I have to do is go over here to this little spot here, which is like a path. I'm gonna add a path. I click on it. I can give it a name called whatever. Let's call Creve CCL. And you can change your color, make you want it wherever you want it to be. I like that magenta quite a bit. But what you do, you want to start about where the start line is. You want to go backwards a bit and forwards from that. So if I start here at this ramp, I'm going to start my race route somewhere about around here. You just plink down some points. You want them to be fairly close, but not too close. And so I guess my recommendation here is just to keep it so that it looks about right. You don't want it to be too awfully square. So just add enough detail. You just add enough detail such that it looks like a route. All right, zoom out a little bit and just kind of draw around. Now, sometimes it'll get a bit funny, and that's all right. The application is fairly nice. Let you kind of rearrange your points just by clicking. Basically, wherever you click, it's going to add one right in front of it. So if I clicked here, I can add a point here, and we'll be in that route, like so. If I want to add another point here, I need to first click on this one, and then add one there, and then I can kind of move them around. So you want to position these so they look about right. Click here, and then I'll add here. I'll kind of use my arrows to move the screen around a little bit, and then I just clink around the lake. Don't have to be too precise. You do want to try and avoid big sharp corners though. Okay, now as we get to the finish line actually is up this way. So we're going to go past where we were and put it right about here. Well, I got ugly there. Let me move that around. Click and kind of drag it a bit. Okay. That doesn't look too bad. Maybe over here, move him a little bit. Maybe add a point here. You're just trying to keep things looking kind of pretty and look like a real route. You don't want, like I say, not a lot of big angles there. Here's kind of a nasty angle. I'm going to move him. I'm going to create another point. Just kind of do something like this. All right, so that looks like a pretty good race route. So I'll go ahead and save it. I'll just say OK. That kind of adds a little place over here underneath the my Google temporary places. Okay, so that's the route, but what you have to do is you have to add now some checkpoints, right? So this is similar to like a 340 checkpoint. You have starts, you have finishes, and then you might have split times in the middle. The one thing about these virtual races that we have to do that is to keep things accurate is that we have to do something special at the start. So we do not start at the very first checkpoint. So let me go up here and add a checkpoint. I'm going to call this first checkpoint the base. Okay. This is not the start point. This is just a point that's going to be kind of, I guess, upstream, if you will, of our starting point. So I'm going to add a base here, and I'll talk about that in a second, what that really means. I'll just say OK. Now I'm going to add the start point, which has to be downstream of where we want to put in at. So start, I'll move him like right about here. All right. So anyway, let's talk about this for a couple minutes here. So I've got a base, I've got a start. For virtual races, these are all going to be running starts. You do not start from like nothing, because the way this thing keeps accurate is by knowing a nice average speed along the route. And so for best results, I found this works best is that you just have people start somewhere in this vicinity, and they press go on their recorder, and then as they get past start, it says, oh, I've started, and then it remembers what speed you're going at. And so that gives you a nice even keel kind of an estimation of how fast you go throughout the race. It will update as it gets more geolocations, but you don't want to start off with some big strange number like 100 miles an hour or something crazy like that, which can happen if you had to kind of start from kind of like here. So if you had everyone starting here, it would be a while before it figured out what speed everybody was going. So best to have them start here, get to a running start, they're going the same speed, and then they get past start, it remembers that speed, and you're off and going. Anyway, that's just a detail for these things, no big deal. Make sure people start somewhere back here. They start the recorder, you get at least 1 or 2 pings on it, and you go past this point. All right, so that's the start and the base. For these virtual races, right, you've got recorders that vary in how fast they're going to send. The apps are going to end up sending about every 2 minutes. So you want to be able to have a checkpoint at least far enough away such that you have 1 or 2 pings in the middle of these segments, okay? So I would not want to put a checkpoint like right here. You would not have data between that. And it's going to require you that once you start, you have to progress along the checkpoint. So if I had them too close, I could easily miss one. And then you're not going to be happy because it's going to say, hey, you missed checkpoint 1, therefore you must have cut your corner or something like that, and it won't count your race. So when you put checkpoints in, make sure they are far enough apart that you're going to get 1 or 2 pings. So if you think of it from the point of view of like a spot tracker that's running every 10 minutes, that might be a little bit hard, right, for a creep or race, which is somewhere around the half hour. So you want to make sure that this thing is a checkpoint, if you have one at all, it's far enough out that you can get those pings in there. So I'm going to put one kind of midway here, just so we get split times for halfway along the track. So let me add one somewhere. We'll call this split. You can call these things anything you want. I'll put him somewhere in this area here of the track so I can get a split time when people pass this, okay? You don't really need it, but it's kind of nice to have to see, okay, oh, you were going fast in the early part and then you slowed down or whatever. So splits are nice, just make sure you have enough time between them, between the start and the split, to get a few pings on that location. All right, I'm going to add one more, which is called finish. I'll save this one first, and then I go over here, hit this, and do finish. And this is your finish line. All right, and I'm going to put, oops, I need to modify him, so I actually hit OK too fast. That's no problem. Go over here, hit properties, and that kind of gets you back into edit mode. Then you can drag him wherever you want. So finish should coincide or be really, really close to the very end of your waypoints. So I'll put him as close as I can right there, okay? That'll just keep things more accurate. Okay, so for this one, in general, you're going to get much better results if you have a nice straight line like on the Missouri River, something like that, where you're starting up upstream and you're finishing downstream. For these smaller lakes where you're actually looping around, you're going to want to probably, you have to be able to have a progression. So if I had a start and then a finish like this, well, that could be really bad. I would start and then immediately finish. You don't want that. You want to progress along the route. And so this almost necessitates a split somewhere in the middle, because it's going to say, I start at base, I go, I hit checkpoint 1, which is my start. I keep on going. Oh, it knows I need to get checkpoint 2 before I get finished. So it keeps on going and forces you all the way around the lake before you get back to the finish. Anyway, just a detail. If I'd gotten rid of my split, then I could potentially end the race right here, and that wouldn't be very fun. Kind of a pointless little race, but maybe that's what you would do. Who knows? Anyway, so now I have actually set up my race. All I have to do is now save this. So I go over here and I do temporaries and save my place as. You can say, okay, this is going to be a CCL race, and save it as KML, not KMZ. Save it wherever you want. I'm going to throw over here in the temporary directory and save it off. Okay, this is the file that I need to put that into RaceOwl. That's all you need, and you're basically ready to go. We'll get it set up, and then you can start having people register for your race, and they should be off and running. So very simple, very easy. Let me show you before we go a couple of gotchas that I found on doing the sunset race. So let me open that one up. So let's see where I've got to go find it. Bear with me a second. Sunset race waypoints. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this one down there on the Merrimack. So Google will fly me there. And I'll tell you about a couple of mistakes I made here. So first of all, you can see I've got my base and my start. That's fine. There's my ramp right here. So people put in here, base is behind them, and then they're going to go upstream. So the start is this way. Anyway, I want them to start right in this area. I made a mistake right here with putting the finish right at the boat ramp. Okay, don't really want that. So I really should be modifying this. Let me do that. Problem is, if I put it right at the boat ramp, well, people go right in there, and GPS is not as accurate as you might think it is. They might be out by 30, 40 feet. So if their last ping is right here, well, guess what? They never cycled their finish line. So they never finished the race. So you really want to put that finish line upstream a bit from your race end as far as the ramp goes. So people kind of fly in here, they end at the ramp, they've passed their finish line. Make sense? I hope so. Because you want to be able to have them send a ping after the finish line so RaceOwl knows where to calculate that at. Okay, one mistake I made here was on my turnaround, okay? Turnarounds are a little bit hard because what you have is the entire race turning a full 180 degrees. And the math doesn't like that real well because what it does is as you're going along these segments, it's saying, okay, I am almost there, I'm there, okay, I'm there. And then it says, I got to turn all the way around. If you cut this corner at all, then you're going to miss this waypoint or this checkpoint altogether. So this works fine, except that you would have to instruct your racers to go actually further downstream. So they actually cycle the whole segment. I actually had to go all the way past on the other side of this trestle and come back around to get this guy to register. So putting a checkpoint on a turnaround, not a great thing. You probably, for best practice, I would say it would work better if we did something like this. We move this guy so that he's not on the actual vertex of the turn itself, but maybe move him back here a little bit like so. That would work out better because the racer is then going through the checkpoint and not possibly doing this whole cut the corner and missing it. So do something like that, that'll work out better. You can put another, checkpoint someplace else if you like. Maybe I'll add one somewhere, further up downstream a bit here. So maybe, well, add him. And maybe he wants to go somewhere like there. But anyway, this will work much better than having him right on that turn there. All right. I think that does it. Any questions, shoot me an email, and hope to see you out there virtually, if not in person, which I hope is soon. Thanks a lot.